Hey fans, what's up? Welcome back to Babel on Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Lamed Ches, Daf 138. Holy cow! There's less than 20 pages left in Masechta Shabbos. Isn't that nuts? Anyways, so today we're studying Daf Kuf Lamed Ches of Masechta Shabbos. It's a cool daf. Lots of small little sugyas over here. Okay, so I'll give you a sort of an outline before we start. Hanging strainers in a vessel, as we started talking about yesterday, in terms of making an oil, making a tent. Then we talk about different types of tents. Then we talk about straining wine on Shabbos. Talk about canopies, hanging canopies over beds. Wearing a black hat on Shabbos. Sometimes you see people wearing those Borsalino hats, those black hats. So, are you allowed to wear those on Shabbos? What do you guys think? Maybe everyone's just wrong. Maybe everyone wearing a Borsalino black hat on Shabbos is in big trouble. I don't know, we'll find out. And then we have some interesting agaddata at the end. So, friends, if I were you, I would tune in to Daf Kuf Lamed Ches of Masechta Shabbos. We're going to begin on Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. V'chachamim omrim. So the Chachamim said that on Shabbos you are not permitted. Well, no, they said that even on Yom Tiv you're not permitted to put this strainer on some kind of vessel. And on Shabbos, even if the strainer was there from beforehand, you wouldn't be able to pour wine into there to strain the wine. Okay, but they do concede that you would be able to pour wine into a strainer that was already put there from before Yom Tiv. Iba'i alehu. They want to know Tala Mai. Okay, and what if on really Shabbos you put this strainer on this vessel? So the answer is Tala Chayiv Chatas. So I'm sorry, Amar Rav Yosef Tala Chayiv Chatas. So Rav Yosef says, well, if you on Shabbos put this strainer on this kli, you'll be chayiv chatas. The reason why I'm saying on Shabbos, not on Yom Tov, even though they say that you're not allowed to do it on Yom Tov either, it's because on Yom Tov you're not chayiv korban chatas. On Yom Tov, doing melacha on Yom Tov is a lav. You're over on a lav. Doing melacha on Shabbos, you're chayiv korban chatas, right? So a lav, if you're over on a lav, you get malchus. We teach you a lesson a little bit, but you're not chayiv kares to bring a korban chatas or anything fun like that. Okay. So Amalei Abai. So Abai says to Rav Yosef, so Abai says, Rav Yosef, this kli, this vessel that you are putting this cloth strainer on its opening, it's not exactly a permanent structure. You're not exactly constructing a home over here. It's a temporary structure. And you're saying they're going to be chayav chatas for putting a strainer on a jar. So Abai says, if you take some kind of a jug, some kind of a vessel, and you just dangle it from a pole, you're going to say that's also constructing, that you're going to be chayav for building a structure there? No, this is a temporary thing. No, Abai says that putting a strainer on the opening of a container is not an Isser D'Oraisa that you'd be chayav korban chatas for, because after all, it's temporary. Rather, it's also midrabanan shelo yaisek k'derech shu osa b'chol. We don't want you doing things in the same way that you do it during the week. So they say, don't put this strainer on the opening of the jar, but it's not, you wouldn't be chayav korban chatas according to Abai. Mankit Abai chumrei masniasa Vitani. So Abai gathered together a bunch of rules from different brisas, and he taught the following: Hagud v'amishameres kila v'chisegalan lo yaise v'imasa pater aval aser. So says Abai that a goad. What is this goad or good or something? It's this. Lots of sirens these days, You hear the sirens, right? Listen. You definitely hear that, right? No, because I get reports that when I say it's noisy out, nobody can actually hear it. But come on, you totally hear the sirens. Those are really distracting. Don't they know that we're doing Babel on Talmud? That's really loud. One second. Oh, it's gone. Okay. I was about to shut off the recording and just come back when it was gone. Anyways, this like it's like a wine skin. It's some kind of, they would put liquids like milk and wine in these big skins, okay? And then what they would do is they would overnight, so that the wine and the milk that's in the skin doesn't like go rancid, they would kind of open up these skins and like attach them to poles or something, and it was kind of like an ohel kazeh. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So things don't go rancid. Also, if you put like a strainer on like some kind of a jar, kila. Also, if you make a canopy for a bed, so like you have a bed, the bed has 4 legs, and you extend some kind of like a sheet or something to cover all the 4 legs of the bed. So now it's like an ohel. V'chise galin. Also, this chair that they would have, this galin chair in this place called galin. So this chair that they had that you would basically construct it. It was made of pieces and you would put it together. Lo yaise v'masu patur aval asur. You shouldn't make them on Shabbos, but if you do, it's patur aval asur, because at the end of the day, it's only temporary. It's only a rai. Fine. Ohale keva lo yaise v'masu chayav chatas. Permanent structures, permanent ohalim, permanent tents. So you should not make them, and if you do make them, then you're going to be chayav a korban chatas. Aval mita v'chise trasko ve'asla mutar l'tosan l'chatchila. But a bed, meaning if you have like, so if I understand correctly, their beds weren't necessarily like our beds that you kind of put them and then you forget about them. You know, maybe you kind of move them to clean, you know, sweep under them, whatever. But they're basically stationary. But back then, or at least at a certain point, or maybe, you know, I bet that there are certain places at this very moment in the world that they still do this. That basically there was some bed that when they weren't using it, they would just, you know, lift it up and put it against the wall, and then they would bring it to, you know, place it down again when they needed to sleep on it. So something like that, since you're not actually constructing anything, the ohel is already made. Meaning, imagine like a bed, it's got 4 legs, and then it's got the top part where you're sleeping on, so it's kilu, it's like an ohel, but you're not making it every time you then, you know, put it down to sleep on it. It's already made in advance, so therefore that would be permitted. Kisei traskal is a folding chair. Ve'asla is some kind of a toilet, some kind of chair with a hole in it for you to use as a toilet. Well, you're not making anything in these, you're not like creating anything over here. Everything was already made, so mutar l'tosan l'chatchila. Okay, so we see that there's like 3 different sort of categories of these ohel things. There's ohel arais that are constructing an ohel arai is asur mid'Rabbanan, patur aval asur. To make an ohel kavua is going to be asur mid'oraisa, and if you kind of have something that's just like constructed, pre-constructed, well then it's going to be mutar. Ve'enosin l'sluya b'Shabbos. So we also said that you are not, according to the Chachamim, you're not allowed to pour wine into a strainer on Shabbos. They want to know, Shimer Mai, what if this guy did? What if he poured some wine into a strainer on Shabbos? Amar of Kahana, Shimer Chayav Chatas. Rav Kahana says, well, if he poured wine into a strainer, he's Chayav a korban chatas. It's also midoraisa. Maskefler of Sheshes. Rav Sheshes doesn't understand Rav Kahana. He says, Mi'ika midi. D'Rabbanan Mechai v'chatas. Rabbi Eliezer shar l'chatchila. Rav Sheshes says, come on, Rav Kahana. Look, what's the machlokas in the Mishnah? The Chacham say don't do it, right? And Rabbi Eliezer says it's mutter. You're allowed to, right. Even on Shabbos, it's mutter l'chatchila to pour some wine into a strainer. Says Rav Sheshes, is there really ever going to be a situation where we have 2 extremes to such an extent that the Chachamim are saying that if you pour wine into a strainer, you're chayav a korban chatas, and Rabbi Eliezer is going to say, gezunte heid, it's mutter l'chatchila, pour as much wine into the strainer as you want? Maskif la Rav Yosef, alam alo. To which Rav Yosef says, hey, Rav Sheshes, why friggin' not? Why can't you have a situation where the Chachamim say, yeah, it's asur midoraisa, and Rabbi Eliezer says, no, it's not, and it's completely mutter? Haray Ir Shel Zahav. What about this concept? If you remember back from the parak Ha'isha Yotzes, I think that's the name of the parak, something like that. Or but Bameh Behima Yotze. But no, there was Bameh. Whoa. Okay, there was a pasuk. Whoa. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. I only had one coffee this morning. Because I don't want to be having too much coffee. So I figured all I needed was one. But maybe that's why I can't talk. Alright, so I won't talk. Akopanim. So we said in the parak of Bameh Isha Yotzes. So there's this concept of this Ir Shel Zahav, which is like this kind of gold jewelry that would have like the like Jerusalem kind of etched into it. So can a woman go out wearing this Ir Shel Zahav on Shabbos? Is it considered like jewelry, which is okay, or is it not considered like jewelry? Or maybe we're concerned that she's going to show it to her friends. So Reb Meir Mechayev Chatas. Reb Meir says, look, it's bechlal not jewelry, and you chayev a korban chatas if you it's not a tachshit, and you can be chayev a korban chatas if she'll be chayev a korban chatas if she goes out wearing it. Rabbi Eliezer shari lechatchila. And guess what Rabbi Eliezer says? It's completely mutter. So we do see these extremes. Mahi, what exactly was his context? The Tanya is we learn in the Brayso, lo seise isha be'ir shel zahav. A woman should not go out wearing this type of jewelry. V'im yatsa chayeves chatas to Reb Meir. And Reb Meir says that if she does go out wearing this jewelry, when she's violating an issur d'oraisa, and she's chayeves a korban chatas. V'chacham lo seise v'im yatsa petura. Chacham say that she shouldn't go out with this Ir Shel Zahav, but if she does, she's petura. It's pater aval aser, because they say that it is a tachshit, and so therefore she's not chayev as a korban chatas. It's a tachshit, but they're concerned she might show her friends. So therefore it's pater aval aser. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yotza Isha be'ir Shel Zahav l'chatchila. Rabbi Eliezer says that she's allowed to go out milchatchila. So Rav Yosef shows that by the Ir Shel Zahav, we do have an example of mamish, the full spectrum of perspectives. You have Rabbi Meir saying that Ir Shel Zahav, you're chayav a korban chatas, and you have Rabbi Eliezer saying that it's mamish muter l'chatchila. So therefore, Rav Sheshes, why can't we say that the Chachamim say, like Rav Kahana, that the Chachamim say that pouring wine into a strainer is an issur midoraisa, and Rabbi Eliezer says, no, it's not, and it's mamish muter l'chatchila. So Amalei Abaye says to Rav Yosef, no, that's different. Don't bring me a raya from over there. Misavet Rabbi Eliezer to Amerikai. D'amar chayev es chatas. Adrabanan kai dami pater aval aser. V'amalu iu muter l'chatchila. So we'll read this again. But Abaye gives a very strange answer to Rav Yosef. Apparently, Tosfos has this kasha. It's a very weird question on Rav Yosef. But basically, Rav Yosef says, look, the fact of the matter is we have this Ir Shel Zahav where you have the full spectrum of severity. You have Reb Meir saying you're chayav a korban chatas, Rabbi Eliezer saying muter l'chatchila. So therefore, Rav Yosef is bringing that as a kasha on Rav Sheshes, who says that you can never have those two extreme spectrums, and Rav Yosef is saying yes, you can. To which Abaye gives a weird answer, and he's saying, no, Rav Yosef, you're kind of looking at it wrong. Rabbi Eliezer isn't arguing on Rabbi Meir, he's arguing on the Chachamim. He's not arguing on Rabbi Meir, who says that you're chayav a korban chatas. And Rabbi Eliezer is saying that it's muter l'chatchila. No, he's not arguing on Rabbi Meir. He's arguing on the Chachamim. The Chachamim say that it's only also midir abanon, right? Because we're concerned that she's going to show it to her friends. And Rabbi Eliezer says, no, we're not concerned that she's going to show it to her friends, right? If you remember, because who's going to be going out wearing her Ir Shel Zahav? It's a very mechubad woman, and she's not going to take it off to show it to her friends. Anyway, so he says it's muter l'chatchila. So it's a very weird answer, right? Abaye is saying, no, Rabbi Eliezer isn't arguing on Rabbi Meir, he's arguing on the Chachamim. Friends, the fact of the matter is, he is arguing on Rabbi Meir. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? Rabbi Meir says that if she goes out wearing this Ir Shel Zahav, she's chayav as a korban chatas. Rabbi Eliezer says it's muter l'chatchila. I mean, tell me whatever you want, but they're arguing, okay? So it's kind of like a funny answer, right? So Amalei Abaye says to Rav Yosef, Misavet Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Meir kai. Do you think that Rabbi Eliezer is arguing on Rabbi Meir? That Rabbi Meir says chayav a korban chatas, and Rabbi Eliezer says muter l'chatchila? No way, right? Damar chayav as chatas, adrabanan kai. Rabbi Eliezer is arguing on the rabbis, the Amri Pater Avalasha, that they say Pater Avalasha V'amalu, and Rabbi Eliezer is saying to them muter l'chatchila, that it's muter l'chatchila. Okay, funny kind of answer. Beseder, so we basically have a machlokas between Rav Kahana and Rav Yosef on the one hand, who say that pouring wine into a strainer will be chayav korban chatas, and Rav Sheshes and Abaye on the other end, who say that it'll be pater aval aser. Fine. Mishum mai masrinan bein. Now, if you're going to say that pouring wine into a strainer on Shabbos is asur midoraisa, like Rav Kahana and Rav Yosef, well, what is the melacha that he's doing? If we were going to go and warn him and say, hey, friend, if you pour wine into that strainer, we're going to have to throw stones at you until you die. And they have to warn him. And right? And so what do they warn him? Right? So they come and say, you are doing melacha what? What is the melacha that they inform him that he's doing, that on account of it, they're going to peg him with stones? After, of course, throwing him off of 2 stories. So Rabba Amar Mishum Borer, Reb Zera Amar Mishum Merakid. So Rabba says, we warn him, hey buddy, you are violating the melacha of Borer, of selecting the bad from the good. Right? Because as we saw, at least according to one opinion, right, if you select the good from the bad, that's acceptable. Reb Zera Amar Mishum Merakid. Reb Zera says that the melacha he's in violation of would be sifting. Okay? Amar Rabba Kavasi Didi Mistavra. Rabba says, it makes sense like me, that the melacha is borer. Madarko shel borer notel ochel maniach apsoles. Well, what do you do when you're selecting? Well, you take the stuff that you want, and you leave the bad stuff. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, right. But we also said that borer is only, right, there were like lots of different ways to be able to do borer properly. But in any event, okay, so I guess when you're selecting, Rabba wants to say that when you're selecting, you take the ochel and you leave the psoles, afachanami, notel sa ochel maniachas psoles. So here also, you are going to take the, you are taking the food, right, because you're straining the part that you want, the wine, maniachas psoles, and you're leaving the dregs over there in the strainer. Amr Reb Zera, kavasi didi mistav. Reb Zera says, no, it makes sense according to me. Madarko shemaraked psoles milamayla v'ochel milamata, av ocha nami psoles milamayla v'ochel milamata. Reb Zera says, no, straining this wine is like sifting, that just like when you sift, you have the psoles, the part that you don't want, above, and the part that you do want falls through to where you want it. Here also, the stuff that you want, the wine is going to the bottom into the container, and the dregs are staying in the sifter. Biseder, so it's machlokas between Rabba and Rav Yosef of, is this melacha, is sifting wine going to be borer, or is it going to be merakid? Tani Rami Bar Yechezkel, talis kfula lo yaise vim asa pater al aser. Says Rami Bar Yechezkel, back to this bed canopy, right? So you have a bed, it's got 4 legs, and imagine if from the 4 legs, you also had poles going above, from each leg vertically upward, and then you take a sheet or a talus, some kind of fabric, a garment, and you throw it over the 4 poles, and you make for yourself a fort or a canopy. Okay? So don't do that on Shabbos. Don't do it on Shabbos. Right? Don't do it on Shabbos because it's like you're making an ohel. But if you do, look, lemais, it's an ohel arai. So, you just want to have maybe some shade or whatever it is. For whatever reason, you want to throw this cloth above these, this kind of canopy. But if this talus, you weren't just like taking this talus and throwing it over these 4 poles, rather they were already kind of there but like rolled up, and now you just have to like unroll it. So it was like there milichatchila, you're just unrolling it. Well, then it's going to be mutter lichatchila because it's ki'ilu, it was like already there from the beginning. Ba'amine Rav Kahana me Rav. So if Kahana asked from Rav, kila mau. So he says, hey Rav, what is with a canopy? What is with a bed canopy? Amrle af mita asura. He says that you cannot put up a canopy, and not only can't you put up a canopy, you can't even construct a bed. You can't even make a bed. The assumption being that it's more obvious to us that a canopy will be problematic, but a bed maybe will be more reason to say it's permitted. But Rav says, no, you can't even construct a bed. Certainly you cannot construct a canopy. Fine. Mita mau. Then Rav Kahana asked Rav, what about a bed? Can I construct a bed? Amrle af kila muteris. He says you can even construct a canopy. Okay, interesting. Kila umitamau. And then Rav Kana asked Rav, what about a bed and a canopy? Amrle kila asura umita muteris. Well, the canopy is forbidden and the bed is permitted. What the heck is going on? One point he's saying that both the bed and the canopy are forbidden. One point he's saying that they're both permitted. One point he's saying that one's permitted, one's forbidden. Well, like, what's going on here? Velo kasha. No problem. Hadaka amr af mita asura kidekar manoe. When we say that even the bed is forbidden, it's talking about these beds of the karmonai. These were there's different opinions of what they are, but basically it's people who had to construct their own beds and put up their own canopies. So putting up a canopy, of course, is going to be a problem because it's like you're making an ohel. And constructing this bed, it's also going to be a problem because you're, right? It's almost going to be like these kisei galin kind of things. That it's these pieces that you're constructing into an ohel, so they're both going to be problematic. When we say that even a canopy is permitted, well, that's going to be like Rami Bar Yechezkel, who says that if it's rolled up, right, so then it would be permitted. So let's say you have your bed and it's already constructed and it's leaning against the wall, and now you want to use it, so you put it down on the ground. That's completely fine because the bed was already constructed beforehand, and now you want to put up your and the canopy, I guess, is already there on the bed rolled up. So then you just have to let out the string and unroll it. Well, we said that would be permitted. Kila asura mitu muteris kedididan. When is the case where we say that the canopy would be problematic, but the bed would be permitted? Would be like the way that we have it, I guess, which is well, not like me and you, but like we in the Gemara. Well, I guess I don't know, whoever's talking in the Gemara. So that would be the bed is fully constructed, but the canopy is not, so you can't make the canopy, but the bed is fine. Amr of Yosef, Chazina luhu l'chile d'ver Rav Huna. Rav Yosef said that he witnessed the canopies by Rav Huna, d'mi urta negidu mitzafra chavita ramya, that at night the canopy, right when Shabbos started, the canopies were set on the beds, but already by the morning they were gone. The assumption seems to be that, well, if you can take down the canopies, you can also put up the canopies. So the assumption seems to be that you'd be able to put up the canopies. But as Rashi points out, we don't really know exactly what was going on with these canopies, what was the context, how are they building them. So there's not much we can learn from that. Amar Rav Mishum Reb Chia. So Rav said in the name of his uncle Reb Chia, Vilon mutul intoso mutul lefarko. If you have a screen by a door, just like a vertical kind of screen, no ohel or anything like that, just like a vertical kind of screen. He said, look, you're allowed to put it into the ground. You can take it out of the ground. There isn't really a concern about a tent when you just have a vertical, tall screen. And interestingly, Shmuel is quoting Rabbi Chia. I feel like Rav often quotes Rabbi Chia. It's his uncle. But I wonder if we see Rabbi Chia quoting Shmuel quoting Rabbi Chia often. Kilas chasanim mutur lintosa umutur leforka. Kilas chasanim. Friends, who could tell me what a kilas chasanim is? I think it's translated as a bridal bed or something, but it's basically some kind of bed that instead of the tent or this canopy coming from the four legs, right? So you have the bed, it's got its four corners. So the regular kila would be you have poles coming up vertically from the four kind of legs of the bed, and then you throw some kind of a sheet or something over those four legs, those four posts, and now you have a fun little tent. Akilas chasanim was slightly different. Instead of having four pillars, kilu, four poles, one for each of the legs, rather what you'd have is two of these poles, right? One on each end of the bed, so it would be kind of in the middle of that. You know what I'm talking about? Actually, I'm going to take a photo of this page in the article. There's some diagrams. So we're basically talking about the top left diagram right now. So it's basically, you have a bed, and imagine one pole coming up from the head of the bed, one pole coming up from the front of the bed, and then you have one horizontal bar connecting those two bars, and then you throw a sheet over that. So it's almost like an angled, almost like a inverted V. Got it? Good. Like a house, like a roof of a house almost, right? Comes to a point at the top. If you imagine a very simple house roof. Okay? That's the kilas chasanim. So, mutul intoso mutul lefarka. So you're allowed to throw a sheet over it, and you're also allowed to take the sheet down from it. Amr of Sheishes Breid of Idi la'amaran elishein begaga tefach. So now, Rav Sheishes Breid of Idi says that when Shmuel says the name of Reb Chia, that you'd be allowed to construct and disassemble this Kilas Chasanim, it's only if that point at the top of the roof of it, right, the top of its roof, let's just call it the roof, as long as that point does not have a width of a tefach. But if the point has a width of a tefach, well then you have a roof of a tefach and it's going to be an ohel. Right, and also even if it does come to a point at the top, so there's no tefach. However, even if within 3 tfachim, lavud of course, right? So within 3 tfachim of the top of the roof, there is the width of a tefach. So then we would consider it like it's at the top of the roof that you have a tefach, and that's going to be a problem of right? If within 3 tefachim from the top of this canopy thing, there is a width of a tefach, it's going to be an ohel. And now, this I'm not going to be able to explain well with words alone. So if you look in the art scroll, so on the left side, there is a diagram. It's the bottommost diagram on the left side. So it's talking about those 2 triangles on the right. Right, so even if at the top it comes to a point, but those 2 triangles on the right extend. Did I just say there's 2 triangles? There's only one. No, the 2 triangles kilo on either side of, like, I don't know. Yeah, if you're looking at the diagram, so there's like 2 triangles, one on the right, one on the left. So those can't go out more than a tefach, okay? And if they do, then we have to assume that tefach is going to be like it's making an ohel, and that's going to be a problem as well. That's how Allah is over here. And also make sure that it doesn't hang down from the bed, right? Like imagine almost like a tablecloth, right? If you have a tablecloth and then tablecloth kind of overhangs the table and it goes downwards. So apparently there's like a discussion of why it's okay to put on a tablecloth or something like that. But I don't know. We're saying over here that, if you have if this sheet from the Kilas Chasanim goes past the bed downwards towards the ground, a tefach, it's going to be a problem because then it's going to be like you have the walls of an ohel because you have the bed, which is like the roof, and then you have the 4 legs of the bed, which are like the walls of the thing, and then you have the sheet from the Kilas Chasanim going down as a wall, a whole thing, right? So just, I don't know, what do you do? Lots of stuff. Tefachs, no tefach on the roof, no tefach with 3 tefachim from the top, no tefach in sort of like the angle that the sheet goes down. Make sure that the angle doesn't then extend beneath the bed another tefach, because then it'll be like a walls of an ohel. Complicated stuff, guys. Weiter. V'amar Rav Sheshes Breido of Idi, Hai Siana Shari. So Rav Sheshes Breido of Idi says, you are permitted to wear a black hat on Shabbos. You're permitted to wear a borsalino on Shabbos. V'itmar Siana Aser. But one second, we have a brisa that says, now Itmar is generally Amoraim, but apparently it's a brisa over here. So we have a brisa that says that a borsalino is forbidden. Lo kasha de'is bei tefach or de'is bei tefach. So it depends. If the borsalino has a tefach width in its brim that's sticking out, so then it's going to be making an ohel, and your borsalino is now an ohel. But if it doesn't have, it's not sticking out a tefach, well then your borsalino is not an ohel. Very fancy. Elamiata sharbev beglima tefach achinami demchayiv. But what if you just take like a cloth and you wrap it around your head like a turban or something, and it's sticking out a tefach? Is that also going to be a problem because you're making an ohel? Ela lokasha ad mihadik ad lo mihadik. No, scratch that. Rather, when it comes to the borsalino, you just have to make sure that it's secure on your head. If it's secure on your head, then it's going to be permitted, like Rav Sheshes Breido of Idi. But if it's not secure on your head and maybe a episode will blow off in the wind or something, well then you can't wear the borsalino. Interesting. Shalach le Rabbi Bar Yechezkel Rav Huna. Rabbi Bar Yechezkel sent to Rav Huna. Now, I wonder if Rabbi Bar Yechezkel is a relative of Rav Yehuda, because Rav Yehuda is Rav Yehuda Bar Yechezkel, I believe. So now Rav Yehuda and Rav Huna were the same generation. So if Rabbi Bar Yechezkel is Rav Yehuda's brother, well then it makes sense that he's sending a letter to Rav Huna, who's the same sort of generation. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So Shalach le Rami bar Yechezkel Rav Huna. So Rami bar Yechezkel sent to Rav Huna, Ei Malan Ize, hey friend, tell us, Hanachmilim al Yisod Amad Lan Mishmei Derav. Tell us these awesome teachings that you said to us in the name of Rav. Okay, so Rami bar Yechezkel sent a letter to Rav Huna. He says, hey, can you send us some of those great teachings that you have from your Rebbe Rav? Tarte b'Shabbis v'chada b'Torah. Two of them had to do with Hilchas Shabbos, and one of them had to do with a great pshat in agaddata. Shalach le, so Rav Huna sent him, Haditanya good b'chisna mutar lintosa b'Shabbos, that which we say that when you have one of these like skins that we were talking about earlier, like one that you'd put like wine and milk in, and when we say that you're allowed to tie its straps to poles on Shabbos, Rav said that you're only allowed to do that with two people tying the straps to the poles. But if it's one person, it wouldn't be allowed because then it'll tie them too tightly and it'll be like a proper tent. Right? But with two people, it's harder to get it like super tight. Meaning if it's one person, so you tie one end, and then you grab the other end and you make sure it's super tight and you tie that one. But if you have two people, it's harder for them to get it perfectly tight. Amar Abaye, v'chila afilu biyud b'nei adam aser. And Abaye says that a canopy, even if you have 10 people constructing them, so you might think that it's going to be loose. No, it doesn't work, because by a canopy, for whatever reason, at least some part of it's going to be tight enough. Mimatra purta, some part of it's going to be tight. Idach ma'i, what is the second halacha by Shabbos that Rav Huna sent to Rami bar Yechezkel in the name of Rav? The Tanya is within the Brisa, Kira shenishmita achas mi'achosel mutu l'taltala. That if you have an oven and one of its legs broke off, you're allowed to move the oven, because it's still useful as an oven, it's not muktzah. Fine. Shtayim asur. But if two of the legs fell off, then it's asur because it's no longer usable as an oven. Rav amar afilu chad nami asur gzeir shem yitaka yiska. So Rav says even if one leg falls off, it'll still be a problem, because out of a gezerah, that lest you try to fix it and put back this one leg, that would be a problem. Torah. What was this one sort of agaddata that Rav said? Dam Rav asida Torah shetishtachach miYisrael. That in the future the Torah is going to be forgotten from Israel. Very interesting. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, V'yifla Hashem es makoscha, that God will make your like when we beat you up, your strikings, makoscha, very bad. Right? That comes from the tochacha. Haflazo eni yodea mau. What is this? Hafla, the hifla Hashem is makoscha, that he's going to make your hittings very bad. So kshu omer lachin inini Yosef lahafli asa amazeh, when the pasuk says in Yeshaya that therefore I will continue lahafli asa amazeh hafle vafela, to make it very wondrous, right? Like kilu, things are going to get really bad. So have omer afla Torah, because the continuation of the pasuk is ve'avda chachmas chachamav uvinas nevonav tistater, that basically you're going to lose all the wisdom of the wise people and the understanding of the understanding people. So that is a reference to Torah. So therefore when it says v'ifla Hashem es makoscha, it means that you're going to forget the Torah. Now it's very interesting, right? Because obviously we are living like 1500 years later and we're still learning Daf Yomi every single day and studying Torah, and there's also all these yeshivas and stuff like that. However, I was thinking, and this was bichlal not pashit to Rav, that we'd be sitting here, definitely not on Babylon Talmud, on YouTube and podcasts, studying Torah. That I'm sure he would be a big chiddush to him. However, even something as simple as like studying Torah in the year 2020 was bichlal not pashit to Rav. Because remember, Rav was living like, he overlapped with Rebbe. Now, the Mishnah in all of these, written down Torah Shabbal Peh, that, Rebbe was really the one who edited that and compiled that. Up until then, all this stuff wasn't written down. And we've even seen twice on Daf Vav Mud Beis and Daf Tzadi Vav Mud Beis that Rav was rummaging around in his uncle Reb Chia's basement. I don't know if it's his basement, but he was rummaging around and he found these Megillah Starim. Right? Rav found that Reb Chia, he had like these chidushim, and now you're not allowed to write down Torah Shabbal Peh, but you also don't want to forget it. So he wrote it down so that he wouldn't forget, but then he had to hide them away so that nobody should find them, because you're not allowed to write down Torah Shabbal Peh. So in Rav's time, it was still very much a chiddush of the concept of like, we're actually going to write down Torah Sheba'al Peh, and we're going to have a Shas available in any Svarim store and online and in Sefaria and the access that we have to written down Torah Sheba'al Peh. I mean, that was a humongous chiddush to Rav during his generation, because it was only in his lifetime that really the Torah Sheba'al Peh was being written down for the first time, and it was only written down based on the fact that like people were starting to forget it. So Rav was basically looking at the future, and he was saying, "Gosh, like it's not looking good." But then Rebbe, out of Eis La'asos Hashem Efer Torasecha, he of course edited the Mishnah, and from there, things were written down, and that is why 1500 years later we can still be learning Daf Yomi together. But that's what Rav said. Asida Torah shetistakach misol. Now we have a brisa. It says Tanu Rabbanan k'shenichnasu Rabbeinu l'Kerem b'Yavne, that when the rabbis entered into Kerem b'Yavne, Amru Asida Torah shetistakach misol. They said that in the future the Torah is going to be forgotten from Israel. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Hine yomim ba'im nu'um Hashem. Behold, days are coming, the word of God, Hashem Elokim, v'shlachti rav ba'aretz, and I'm going to send a famine in the earth, in the land. Lo rav lalechem v'lo tzama lamayim. Now, this is not going to be a hunger for bread, and is not going to be a thirst for water. It's not that kind of a famine. Kim l'shma is divrei Hashem. Rather, it's a famine for the words of God. And it says, v'no miyam ad yam, and they're going to wander around from the west to the southern sea, which is the Jordan, I believe. Umitzafon v'ad mizrach, or no, the Yam Suf, I think. Umitzafon v'ad mizrach, and from the north to the east. Yeshotu levakesh es dvar Hashem v'lo yimtzau. They're going to wander around looking for the word of God, and they won't be able to find it. So Dvar Hashem zo alacha, Dvar Hashem zo aketz, Dvar Hashem zo nevuah. So it says Dvar. So I think the pshat is like this. It says Dvar Hashem. It says in the first pasuk it says as Divrei Hashem, and in the second pasuk it says Dvar Hashem. So I guess like Divrei is plural, so it's like two Dvar Hashems, and then the second pasuk it also says Dvar Hashem. So we have Dvar Hashem 3 times. So Dvar Hashem zo alacha, Dvar Hashem, right? So that's halacha. Dvar Hashem zo aketz. I guess that's like Kabbalah maybe. Dvar Hashem zo nevuah. That's prophecy. It's all going to be gone. What does it mean that they will run around, wander around, looking for the word of God? Amru, they said, Asida isha shetito kikar shel truma, that in the future a woman will take a loaf of bread, and she's going to go around to different synagogues and different houses of study, right, to see, is this loaf of bread tamei or is this loaf of bread tahor? And guess what? No one's going to be able to give her an answer. To which the Gemara says, 1 second, 1 second. To know whether or not this loaf of bread is tamei or tahor, that has nothing to do with forgetting Torah Sheba'al Peh. That's Torah Shebichsav. That is the written Torah. She can just look it up herself, or maybe if she's unable to look it up herself for whatever reason, she can go, she's going to these study halls and stuff, so ask over there, and certainly somebody will be able to look at the Chumash and see what it says, right? It says, Mikola ochel asher ye'ochel, right? From any food that, it's in the context of Tumah Sheretz, if it gets tummy from Sheretz, like Kilu, Tumah is written in the Torah. Why shouldn't she be able to have access to that information? El leida im rishona hi vim shniyahi. No, she's going to want to know, is this bread a rishon l'tumah, is it a sheni l'tumah? Vein maybe. Nobody's going to be able to give her an answer. Hanami masnisani. This is also a Mishnah. And I assume that what the point of this is like, it's a Mishnah, it's not, there's nothing fancy over here. It's just a Mishnah based on the psukim, which is, right, Kiditznan, as it says, Asheretz shenimtza bitanur, hapasha b'socho shniya. So if you have a sheretz, and you dangle a sheretz in an oven, okay? So hapasha b'socho shniya. So the bread in the oven becomes a sheni l'tumah, right? Because a klicheres, an earthenware vessel, becomes tummy from its inside. So if you have an oven and you take a sheretz and you dangle it in the airspace of the oven, well then the oven becomes a rishon l'tumah, right? The sheretz, of course, is an avatumah. The oven becomes a rishon l'tumah. If the bread is now stuck to the wall of the oven, that bread is going to become a sheni l'tumah, because ochel could become a sheni from a rishon. Sha'atan or tchila, because the oven itself becomes a rishon l'tumah. And the bread becomes a sheni l'tumah. So that again, kilu, why shouldn't anybody know the halacha about, the bread, whether it's a, rishon l'tumah, sheni l'tumah? Like, these are pretty clear halachas. So mistabkalu hadu amar le Ravada bar Hava le Rava. No, that they weren't certain about, or they won't be certain about that which Rav Ada bar Ahava said to Rava, Lichazi ay tanura k'mandamali tuma v'tavi pas rishona. So Rav Ada bar Ahava asked Rava, he says, one second, if I have an oven and stuck to the walls of the oven is some dough, okay, and I take a sheretz and I dangle it inside of the oven, why is that dough a sheni l'tumah? Shouldn't it be a rishon l'tumah? Meaning we're saying it's a sheni l'tumah because when you dangle the sheretz into the oven, well, then the oven becomes tameh from the sheretz. The sheretz is an avatumah. The oven becomes a rishon l'tumah. The oven is now touching the dough, so the dough becomes a sheni l'tumah. But one second, why don't we say that when you dangle the sheretz inside the airspace of the oven, it's ki'ilu, the entire airspace of the oven is being filled up with sheretzi kind of vibes, avatuma sheretzi kind of vibes, and therefore the bread which is inside the oven is interacting with the dangling tuma of the sheretz, and the bread itself should be a rishon l'tumah, since the sheretz is an avatuma. Why are we saying that the sheretz is only matame the oven, which is then matame the bread? After all, the bread is in the oven. Shouldn't it also become a rishon l'tumah from the sheretz in the airspace? Amar le, to which Rava said, Lo amrinan lichaze ay tanura k'man damali tumah. No, but we don't view it that way. We don't view it as if the entire oven is filled with tumah. The Tanya is we learn in the Brisa, Yachol you call akelim and tamim ba'aver klicheres. Is it possible that all of the vessels should become tamim from aver klicheres? So for this I'm viewing it almost like a ceramic kind of pot, like an earthenware pot or something. And in the pot are lying a bunch of kalim. You have other kind of vessels lying in this pot. And now you dangle a sheretz inside of the airspace of the pot. So is it possible that these kalim would become tameh, right? Because after all, the sheretz is an avatum. It's dangling in this kli cheres, and also in the kli cheres are these other kalim. Shouldn't those kalim become tamei from the avatuma of the sheretz? So tamlo mikol asher b'socho yitma mikol ha'ochel asher ya'achel. So the pasuk says anything that is inside of this ceramic vessel will become tamei when the sheretz is dangling in the airspace. And then it says immediately afterwards, from any food that will be eaten. That only food will become tummy from the airspace of a klicheres, but not kalim. Meaning, therefore, we clearly don't view it as if the sheretz dangling in the airspace of the klicheres is as if it fills up the entire kli with tumah. Because if that were the case, well then a sheretz is an avatuma, and if it was filling up the entire kli with tumah, well then these kalim that are in there should become a rishon tumah. But we don't say that. We say only food will become tummy from inside of the kli cheres, not the kalim, which means that we clearly don't view it as if the kli is filled with avatuma sheretz vibes. Rather, the way we view it is that the sheretz dangling in the kli cheres makes the kli cheres a rishon l'tumah, which then, when it interacts with whatever the contents of this kli are going to then, transport or whatever tumah accordingly. So therefore, a ochel would become a sheni l'tumah, but kalim, which cannot become tameh from a rishon l'tumah, would not become tameh. Tanya, we learn in a brayso, Reb Shimon ben Yochai, Omer says, Reb Shimon ben Yochai, Chaz v'shalom shetishtachach Torah mi-Yisrael. Reb Shimon ben Yochai says, God forbid that Torah should be forgotten from Israel. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Ki lo tishachach mipi zaro. It will not be forgotten from his children. Now, Reb Nachman Mibreslov has, I think in the introduction to Likutei Moharan, he has a shtickle Torah on this, right? He says, Ki lo tishachach mipi zaro. If you look at the last letter of each of those four words, it's Yochai, it's Yud Vav, or the five words, Yud Vav Ches Aleph Yud, right? Basically, Reb Shimon ben Yochai is saying that Kilosi Shachach Mi Pizarro, that he's saying, I can assure you that the Torah will not be forgotten from Israel, and he's saying Kilosi Shachach Mi Pizarro, and the last letter of each one is Yochai, which is a reference to Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Somehow there was a connection to I think maybe Rav Nachman ben Fega or something. Maybe Isaac Lebwal. Maybe Isaac Lebwal could help us out with this. He's a big bucky when it comes to Breslov Chassidus. He's a big tzaddik, Isaac Lebwal. So Elamani Mekayim Yishadu Levakesh is Dvar Hashem V'lo Yimtzo. So what does it mean then that they're going to wander around looking for the word of God and they won't be able to find it? It says Shalo Yimtzu Allah Brua Mishnah Brua B'Makom Echad. It means that you won't find clarity in one place. but the Torah won't be forgotten. But there's going to be machlokas and different opinions and things like that, which I think is okay. You know, that's what makes Torah alive, is the machlokes and the lack of clarity, and it forces us to interact with it. Okay, so that was daf kuf lam ches. It was an interesting daf, like lots of stuff. Fine. We started out talking about hanging a strainer in a vessel. Rav Yosef said that you're chayav a korban chatas for it. Abaye says that mapitom, this is only temporary. It's going to be only asur midrabanan, so you're not doing this. So it's a little bit different than the things that you do during the week. Then we talked about different types of tents. We talked about these, hanging up skins and strainers and canopies and like chairs and stuff that you assemble. So we say those are pater aval asur because they're not kavua. If you have a ohel kavua, a fixed tent, well then it will be chayav a korban chatas. And now if you have something like a bed or a folding chair or a toilet, well, if you want to move those around, that would be mutter because you're not constructing anything they already built. We talked about straining wine on Shabbos. Rav Kahan and Rav Yosef said that you're chayav a korban chatas. Rav Sheshes and Abaye says that it's asur midrabanan. Then, if you hold, like Rav Kahan and Rav Yosef, that you chayav a korban chatas, what malacha are you chayav for? Rabbi says you chayav for borer. Reb Zera says that you chayav for meraked. Okay? Talk about hanging canopies. So Bar Yecheskel said that, as long as it's rolled, rolled up, and you just have to unroll it, well then that would be acceptable. Then we talked about these bridal canopies. Shmuel quoted Rav Chia saying that you're allowed to put them up as long as there isn't a tefach, but then we got into other more detailed things, that it's not just the top of it being a tefach, even within the top 3 tefachim it can't be a tefach, and all sorts of technical halachas over there. Then we got into wearing a black hat on Shabbos. Can you wear a black hat on Shabbos? So we say it depends. If it's going to blow off, so maybe not. But if it's nice and stark on the head, so then it's okay. So then there was Rami Bar Yecheskel sent to Rav Huna to ask for 3 things from Rav. He gave him 2 halachis, kind of technical in nature, regarding like ohels and stuff like that, I think. And then he quoted that interesting thing from Rav about that in the future the Torah will be forgotten from Israel, to which we then got into the brisa when the rabbis went into Keren B'Yavneh, and they said that in the future the Torah is going to be forgotten. And Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai stood up and he says, no way, the Torah will not be forgotten from Israel. It says, Kilot tishakach mipi zaro, and he said it just means that there won't be complete clarity. Right? As we saw that, like for example, Shammai and Hillel, as we saw all the way at the beginning of, in the first parak of Masechta Shabbos, that they only disagreed in 18 places. Their students, on the other hand, disagree all the time. So yeah, there's a lot more machlokas and a lot less clarity, but it certainly will not be forgotten, as demonstrated by all of us studying together. Everyone, I hope that you have a great, great, awesome day. Peace.